Somewhere right now, a person is shaking in a hallway, trying to explain a wound that left no mark. A psychological breakdown within a family or a workplace is often a calculated objective, engineered by an architect applying unseen pressure. The process begins with small, deniable acts that leave no paper trail. It is a slow dismantling through targeted gossip and exclusion. By avoiding open conflict, the operator ensures there is never a single moment an onlooker can point to as an attack. This strategy relies on disguise. Cruelty is framed as workplace fairness, a concern for your well-being, or a necessary lesson in humility. These labels make the ongoing hostility invisible to everyone except the person being targeted. The operator then employs inversion. They maintain a calm, reasonable persona in public while deliberately triggering the target in private. They wait for the pressure to build, knowing exactly which nerves to press to pull a reaction out of the other person. Because the harm is sliced into 100 tiny fractions, the target has nothing concrete to show. When they try to explain the pattern, they have to describe a dozen jokes or misunderstandings, which often makes the target, not the operator, look like the unstable one. While the architect plays a social game, your brain is running a survival program. Human hardware cannot distinguish between a physical predator and a hostile social group. To your nervous system, being excluded from the tribe triggers the same alarms as a lion in the grass. This diagram shows the amygdala, the brain's smoke detector for danger. Persistent social threat locks this alarm in the on position. Unlike a physical threat that eventually leaves, social hostility follows the target home, preventing the alarm from ever resetting. As the alarm continues to ring, it hijacks the reflective mind. Instead of healthy self-thought, the brain enters a loop, replaying insults and searching for internal flaws to explain why the environment has turned hostile. This is neural entrapment. The danger alarm feeds the rumination loop, and the loop feeds the alarm in a closed circuit. The brain is effectively held hostage by its own wiring, burning through massive amounts of energy with no way to exit the cycle. The resulting exhaustion is a biological reality, not a personal failure. When a mind is forced to run survival machinery for months without a break, the system eventually reaches a breaking point. A brain stuck on alert keeps the body soaked in stress chemicals, mostly cortisol. In short bursts, this chemical helps you run, but around the clock, it acts as a slow biological tax. Sleep is usually the first thing to fray, followed by the body's ability to repair itself. This cable represents the vagus nerve, the body's internal brake. It calms the heart and settles the system after a scare. Under relentless stress, this brake goes soft. The person loses the physical capacity to stand down, even when finally alone. This panic travels the gut-brain axis, wearing down the immune system. The body begins to heal slower and sickens faster. The architect waits for these physical symptoms to manifest. Once the target shows hypervigilance or trembling, the operator flips the script. They use the target's visible distress as proof that the target was always the dangerous or unstable one. The operation is now complete. The victim's biological collapse is used as the evidence against them. The architect stays calm, the target looks broken, and the actual cause of the damage remains buried. Neutralizing this pattern requires disengagement. Stop over-explaining your side to people acting in bad faith. Trying to defend your character against a manufactured narrative only hands the operator more material to use against you. Move toward methodical record-keeping. Write down dates, record specific acts, and the names of those involved. Seeing the pattern on paper removes the vague dread and replaces it with a set of facts you can examine objectively. Set boundaries as unalterable facts. A boundary is not a request for permission. It is a statement of what you will and will not do. If a person repeatedly violates these terms, they have demonstrated a fixed pattern that will not change. At that point, the only solution is to sever all ties. Because these social attacks trigger a genuine physical emergency in the body, ancient traditions often equate the weaponization of gossip with murder. It is the calculated destruction of a person's standing. By choosing to inflict this damage, the architect forfeits their right to define the truth of the situation. By maintaining the truth and removing the emotional reaction the operator craves, you reclaim authority over your own narrative. You are no longer a participant in their war. You are the one defining the reality of your own space. Recovery must be as physical as the damage was. It begins with returning to stillness. By focusing on slow breathing and spending time with safe people, you manually switch the alarm off and bring the body's internal brake back online. Consider the miracle of the breath you are drawing right now. It arrives unearned and without effort, a precise biological function that no human hand built. It is a constant reminder that your life belongs to you, not to the people who tried to wear it down. True resolution does not require an attack. It happens naturally when you stand healed and whole. When you step into the light, the hidden narratives of the architect surface on their own. Their actions eventually become visible to everyone, simply by contrast with your stillness. The objective is to notice the mechanics of your own existence and live it as the gift it is. Every moment spent obsessing over a manipulator's game is a moment spent quietly fighting a war that was never yours to begin with. The strategy of the architect depends entirely on the target's collapse. When you remain whole, the operation fails, leaving them with no narrative to control. You step into the sunlight, healed, resilient, and finally free.